Welcome everyone to Rewind, Recap, Relive, where legends and rising stars meet. I'm your host Jonah. We're back with a huge episode today featuring friend of the show, the Miasma, Zakk Ramses. Did a project with Zakk a bit ago called the Miasma Citadel. We get all into it in this episode, and he is on with veteran of the industry, Mike Knox. And of course, you see Mike Knox in WWE, you see him in TNA, Impact Wrestling, been to Japan, so many places Mike Knox has been. He shares his wealth of knowledge with Zakk Ramses in this great one. We talk how Mike felt being in the Elimination Chamber 2009 for the World Heavyweight Championship. We talk about Zakk's tryout with WWE. We talk about Mike's long time in WWE and also Aces and Eights, the Menagerie. We get into everything, so stick around. But first, let's get into that winner of the Bear Pin. Congratulations, the wheel chose you. You're going home with the Bear Pin. We will reach out to you, and congratulations. Alright, bit of a shorter intro today because we've got some big things in the works. We got a unique thing coming to you this upcoming Thursday, so keep your eye on our social media platforms. You can see them right here, or here at R3Jonah on Twitter, and at Rewind Recap Relive on Instagram. Keep your eyes open. We're going to be putting some great content out on there, letting you know what's to come on the channel, and some future guests, of course. We've got a brand new giveaway for you next week, so again, keep your eyes open. Some great new Wrestling Pins merch is going to be rolling in, but for now, I send you straight into Mike Knox and Zakk Ramses. Trust me, it's such a fun interview. You will not be disappointed. It gets wild. Trust me, it is worth the watch. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it around, tell everyone that you're watching Mike Knox and the Miasma, Zakk Ramses. So please enjoy the show, and I'll see you soon. Our first guest has been making his name in the business for around 2.5 years now. Please welcome the Miasma, Zakk Ramses.
How's it going?
Good. Very happy to have you here. And our next guest is a veteran in the industry. You'll know him best from his work, of course, WWE, TNA. He's been everywhere. Please welcome now, Mike Knox.
You know, brother, I'm like a cockroach, man. You can't get rid of me, man. For a long time.
It's awesome to have you both here. It really is. And I always like to start at the beginning, learning how it is you got into pro wrestling. So Zakk, you want to take us down your journey first? Tell us how you got into the business.
Yeah, of course. And thank you, Jonah, for having myself on, and obviously Mike as well. Definitely awesome opportunity. You've got a great program here you've been running for the last year. Kudos to you for continuing to keep this running. And even with everything going on now, you've put together an awesome product. But
thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But so far as my story goes, I, as many a wrestler is, I grew up loving and just vibing with everything pro wrestling. Yeah, as a kid, me and my best friends, it was, every Friday night we'd gather together and watch Friday Night SmackDown. If it wasn't too late for us, we'd watch Raw together on a Monday night. We'd watch the pay-per-views, chip in together, all that stuff, all the typical stories there that you hear. And it was something I always loved. And fortunately for me, as Mike can, I'm sure, attest to as well, having the size that we had with our physical statures, it gave you certain options as far as careers and options within athletics go and whatnot. I found myself finding my footing with football. I played football through high school. I played at the University of Delaware for college. I played offensive line there for 5 years, and my time there obviously developed as an athlete. And I enjoyed my time in football, but that persistent little bug from the time I was young of wrestling, pro wrestling, it was always there. And so as my college years were winding down, I was like, you know what, football's been great to me. I've loved it. It's given me experience. It got me a great education. But now it's time to put the pedal to the metal to what's been the passion from day one, and that was professional wrestling. So in 2018, I finished my football career, and we played in the playoffs against James Madison the last week of November of 2018. First week of December, I started training, getting ready to start a transition to pro wrestling, and in January of 2019, I was taking my first steps and stumbles in the ring, and it's just been all fun and uphill since then.
That's fantastic. And it's great to see you in it now for sure. I love that a persistent bug got its way. Mike, how about yourself? How'd you get into wrestling?
Oh, brother, man, my story's pretty close. When I was a kid, I saw my first wrestling match ever. It was Hulk Hogan versus Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff at Saturday night's main event. Like, I'd never seen nothing like that before, you know? So I sit there, and then immediately the next day, I got my first fist fight at school. I was in the second grade. I was in the second grade, man. And, you know, it started blossoming from there to the point where there wasn't 1 inch of space on any of my walls. It was all Hulk Hogan and Sting and, you know what I mean? Like Ultimate Warrior and like all these bigger than life characters. When I started getting older a little bit, I was there like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, well, I'm gonna be a professional wrestler. And everybody kind of laughed and they were all giggling and shit, you know, because I was just like a little fat kid. Am I allowed to cuss here?
Yeah. Feel free. Well, express yourself. Yeah.
Take blinders off a little bit. You know, so I was sitting there and they're like, oh, you know, they made fun of me because I wanted to be a wrestler. I was like a little fat kid, or not little, big, you know what I mean?
Right. I know the feeling.
That, you know, I didn't grow into my body, you know, until, you know, 7th grade, maybe, where I grew like a foot over the summer and I came back all still a nerd, but, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I started getting bigger and getting more athletic, a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic. And I just kept growing and growing and growing. I didn't get wider. I got thinner. When I graduated high school, I was playing baseball, basketball, football, every athletic I could think of to, you know, to get in there, but I didn't really give a shit about it. You know what I mean? Like I was over on Mondays doing the old PWF, the Pool Wrestling Federation, like with my buddies, the out hepatitis pool. You know, we come up with these characters and we run these dumb little shows that I tell everybody never to do now. You know what I mean? Please don't do this shit unless you're trained a little bit at least, you know. So I started doing that, you know, and I went to a little JUCO and played a little baseball. I was recovering from an injury, like I was a pitcher, so I blew my arm out, and I was recovering from it, and I always had a little bit of like a problem with authority at that time. So I got a couple of really cool shots to go to some big schools, and I put my foot in my mouth and talked my way right out of it. And I met up with this fella. We were going to watch this wrestling show in San Diego. I lived in El Centro, California, man, about the farthest away from New York you can get. And I meet up with this guy waiting in line. I'm going to watch Stone Cold and DX and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like this little dude's like, you know, I'm a wrestler. And I was like, the f- you are. Like, whatever. He like, I'd never even heard of Independence. You know, this back and forth, like internet knew what the hell we were going on there. Like I didn't know nothing about that. I thought I was cool because I knew a little bit about like old NWA stuff. You know what I mean? I thought I was really deep into it. Turns out I had no idea, bro. So he's like, yeah, we got this little indie school. It's in Oxnard. I was like, shit, Oxnard's like 8 hours from me. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I started making that drive. I'd go 8 hours up to train, 8 hours back, go to work. Next day, 8 hours up the train, 8 hours back. Brother, how many times I almost died in that damn car, being so tired, just driving. But I mean, I didn't know nothing about indie stuff. And I got lucky and I fell in with the right group of trainers.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I went up there for maybe like 4 months or something like that. Like, a lot of the guys that were in there, the first day I went in, I still know. Hardcore Kid, Aaron Aguilera was the first guy I saw when I walked in there, and he was already trained a little bit. So he was doing his little thing, and he was athletic and he was big, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I was probably only 195 pounds when I graduated high school because I always played baseball and I played basketball mostly.
Right.
And I could jump a bit, you know what I mean? I was starting to get really, really athletic, but after school was done, you know what I mean? I had no avenue anymore to show it off, except for the thing I loved all along, the thing they made fun of me because I said I was going to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And man, I just started living and breathing everywhere I went, that's all I could think of. Like, okay, I'm gonna work on my punches here. Okay, I'm gonna do this here. Like if I mess up, I'm gonna hurt myself. So don't mess up. Like, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I started really, really coming into my own, man. I got real lucky too, because they could see that I had some talent. So I had my first match maybe like a month after I took my first bump, maybe a month after I learned how to hit the ropes. Like it was pretty quick, but I figured that's the way it was going to be. It didn't go very good. I'll tell you that. I didn't know. I didn't know. I was scared shitless. But that's kind of how I started going. And then from there, man, the brakes were off.
Yeah.
Everything I thought, everything was about wrestling, bro. Getting better, trying to get a little bit bigger, trying to get a little bit stronger, a little faster, get myself seen someplace, maybe go work somewhere else, like not just schools, like.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure you all went through that too. Like you get in that school, man, and you think, damn, I got this. I know what I'm doing, bro. I know what I'm doing. And then you get sent out on some show and they put you with some vet. I jump knots and it's like wiping the floor and you look so bad. And you're like, God damn it, is this the way it is?
Yeah.
Stupid. Oh man. Yeah, bro, long way. And it's been a long time. That was 1998 when that was for me.
What a cool feeling though. Yeah, to be able to say that you were going to do it all along and then actually go through with it. I mean, that's awesome. Zakk, do you have thoughts on that? I saw you, nodding what Mike was saying there, maybe with the training.
Oh, obviously a lot of similar paths and thought processes throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's fascinating just to kind of hear you talk about some things. I'm like, yep, I remember thinking that. I remember feeling that. So, and not too long ago. So it's very, very cool and just kind of humbling to be like, all right, especially you see someone who has succeeded as you have, Mike. It's like, all right, the foundation is there for someone with that mindset to keep rolling. So it's comforting to hear, but also just very, very cool. And the commitment of 8 hours up and down and just always thinking of ways to get yourself better, expose yourself here, come up with an idea there. Like I'm with all of that. I love it.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, hopefully now, as I said earlier, we're on the other side of what's just been affecting all of us, the whole world for the past year or more now. And I'd love to hear how it's been affecting you guys, because wrestling industry obviously took a huge hit, and just how you've been dealing with it. So Mike, I'd love to start with you. How's it been? And is your schedule now picking back up?
Well, about, what was it? Maybe like 2 years ago, I jacked myself up pretty good. I busted my knee up pretty good. I was on crutches for like 8 weeks. Went and did all the physical therapy, did all that stuff. Then I went back and did my little match I was gonna do. I think it was like Nasty Boys, Aces and Eights and Nasty Boys or something like that, And I just
cool match. Yeah.
We went in there, we did the match. So if y'all ever been against the Nasty Boys, you know what that shit's like. Boom, boom.
I can only imagine.
Just freaking tattoo you with everything, you know what I mean? But I'm big, I'm tough, you know what I mean? It's not like they ain't hitting me with nothing I ain't never seen before, you know what I mean? Like you want to make them look good because they're veterans, they've been in there longer than you, they got cool stories, so you want to be around, you know what I mean? Those guys people don't live like that anymore, you know what I mean? I was just hanging out with them at WrestleMania, and I was sitting there, I just kept saying, I was like, God damn it, I hope you guys never die. Like you guys just live so much bigger, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's just me because I knew them as kids or whatever, but anyways, I got derailed. So I went off and did the match against them. And brother, I didn't even do nothing. It was a hardcore match. You know what I mean? I fell down one time, like on the outside on my knees. I flew home, man, and I was on crutches for another 8 weeks, which don't seem like it's all that much, but my poor old lady, you know what I mean? My poor old lady, she had to take care of me for all that time. So I started thinking, I was like, maybe time to look for something else. I've only wrestled since I was 18 and worked in like strip clubs and all that crap, just that you got to do to, use your size, but they let you do whatever you want. And everything started shutting down, man. I was like, I went and got my real estate license. So I started doing real estate, but that don't take very long I mean, I love real estate. That's fine. It pays the bills. You know what I mean? And I love helping people out. But as soon as I start getting my train rolling, damn Doc Gallows, every time, you know what I mean? Every time I think I'm done, every time I think I'm out of there,
pulls
you
you back in.
He's like, hey man, you want to come up and you want to come do a barbecue at my house? Yeah, sure, I guess. We'll see. So we go up do a barbecue. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, we got a double shot. Bam, you know what I mean? Like, so we start doing a couple little shows, but I've noticed unless you are really thinking outside of the box or you're on TV already, I can see how this Corona gimmick, bro. I can see how that will just it really puts the brakes to you, man. Like you can train all you like, but training's hard. You know what I mean? If you don't have an outlet to go and show what progress you've made, I can see how that would really tax on somebody's on their wrestling soul. You know what I mean? Like the people you need. You know what I mean? The people is what helps you not feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Everything hurts, and it doesn't ever stop hurting. But when you get some people out there and you know that they're feeling it, or even if they're not feeling it and you're just pissed off about it, that helps you suppress pretty much everything that's going on in there. I mean, besides like the deadliest, neck bumps, all that crap,
Yeah.
So you sit there and you see a guy like Luke Gallows, and he went off in a million different directions, plus he's still on TV and still relevant, so he's doing good, but he was taking a hit too. You know what I mean? He had to think outside the box. He had to start thinking about doing these comedy shows and doing some wine and trying this and trying that. Like, whoo-wee. Most of the guys I know, they've just been sitting on their asses, man. They've just been at home. Like, they don't want you in the gym. So you try to go out and do what you got to do, try to keep yourself in some kind of shape. But I can see how if you're not 100% go at that wrestling, and then all of a sudden you got to sit down for a year and a half, not doing it, not doing what you love, what you're passionate about, you're going to start questioning yourselves. So I can see how a lot of this stuff's going to play out for these guys. Because I mean, I started with 5 of my friends too, and as soon as it started getting hard, and pretty soon I only had 3 there. And then it started getting harder, and then I only got 2. Then I got 1. Then I got nobody but me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then the business itself weeds out a lot of people who think they have that heart. They think they have this and that. But now, knees are feeling good. Back's feeling good. I had a big 6'8" chirping in my side. Hey, brother, when you're ready, tell me when you're ready. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Like, you ain't just sitting there. You love real estate, brother, but that ain't what you really love. Come on. Come on, man. We'll help you out. We'll get you a shot. We'll get you a look. And now these shows are starting to pick up. Yeah. And people that I hadn't heard from in 3-4 years, you know what I mean? They're all getting ready to up and run again. So they're calling me out of the blue. Like, I don't really go out and search for bookings no more. You know what I mean? I'm pretty old. I've been around for a long time. So if it comes and if it seems like it's going to be fun, I do it. You know what I mean? If I think it's going to, I don't know these people, it's like, I don't know. You're like, you got to argue about the money a little bit too much, or you do that. Like, I don't got that in me no more. You know what I mean? It kind of is what it is. But with everything starting to pick up, like, the shows are starting to come around a lot, and people are excited now. People are very, very excited, man. And I am too. Man. Because even the guys that have been on TV, the guys that are like kicking ass for the last year and a half, some of those guys made their whole careers not in front of people.
Well, off his point, while you're doing that, it's very tough to work in front of no one and then work in front of people. To what he's saying there about the guys on television, it's a drastically different environment. And I was fortunate enough, I just had my first show in 15 months in front of a actual physical crowd of 75, 80 people or so this past weekend. And just the feeling I had just finally being back in front of a crowd in front of human beings that reacted to me. It was remarkable, and it reminded me why I love wrestling so much. Because it's it's still, you're doing your thing, and you're still honing your craft when you're doing these in-house empty arena performances and whatnot. Like, you're still getting work in, but a good 50% of what pro wrestling at its core is the people you're entertaining and the people you're trying to
Absolutely.
elicit a reaction from. And so, to his point, it not having that, it's a knock to motivation for a lot of people, and myself included. It definitely, for those months where you're in the ring training, and there's no end goal and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, it definitely, it grates on the mentality and the drive. And so, to all of Mike's points there, it's definitely was a very tricky situation. And there's plenty of people I've seen who started really hot, in the summertime, when they thought that this would go quickly, and then when it didn't, you start hearing less from certain people, et cetera, et cetera. And you know that's to each their own. If you have to find a way to get through that if you're really committed to this, I find. But it's definitely an unforeseen circumstance like this. It's not gonna be easy to handle. That much is for sure.
Nailed it.
We're back. We're back.
My router out.
That was what was that? What happened?
Kick my damn router out. I get all
We're back.
Oh
We're
my
good.
God.
Boom. Nailed
Perfect.
it. Technology man, right here.
There we go.
Kick this router out. Well, listen, hey, we got all that, and I want to go to Zakk actually now, because he had a great example of thinking outside the box, I think. So I was lucky enough to be a part of this project he was working on throughout really the height, I'd say, of the virus. A lot of shows weren't happening. You want to talk about the Citadel, Zakk, a little bit?
Yeah. So, Mike, to your point there, it's the question of how do you keep that passion, that drive alive when you can't go out and do shows, or you're just training endlessly to no end goal. What do you do? And I was presented with that situation because the facility that I train out of, they weren't open from about March until mid-July or so. Got back in July, and we were training, and we filmed like a empty arena match here and there, like 2 or 3 matches, and again, it was fine. It was again fun just to get your feet back in the ground.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, all right, I got to do something here, because if this is just not cutting it, and especially when again there's no end in sight, it's like, what do you do? And so in around January, I was just trying to think outside the box, like, what can I do personally that's a little different from what's out there, but I can really sink my teeth into and have some fun with. And so I came up with this idea, which the name of it was the Miasma Citadel, because again, Zakk Ramses is the Miasma. That's my moniker. And so the Citadel was basically, it was a weekly show that I was starting up on YouTube. That basically each week, it was kind of like a wrestling challenge bit where my goal was that I'm here because I want to show that I'm the best around in independent wrestling. Like, I'm the dude that you might not know me yet, but you're gonna know me once you face me, because you're not gonna be able to beat me, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would bring in different guys from the area who were willing and able. They'd come in, and we would, at the beginning of the week, we'd establish who each of us are through promos, clips, vignettes, however you want to show your ability. We would do that. Then we would do, for lack of a better term, we would put together a little short film to kind of show the nature of our individual story and our characters in a kind of more avant-garde way, a little different, just to, again, not the same, always just promo package, just a little something different, just to add a little flair to it. Then I requested Jonah and our friend Tyler, who also is in the podcasting world and whatnot. I requested both of them to come on as my off-scene commentators, and they would talk about the promos and stuff, and kind of give some commentary on that. We did all these different things because for me, I was like, all right, everyone's just putting matches out, which is fine. Or people are just doing promos or whatever, which is fine, and there's nothing wrong with that by any stretch, and it's good just to continue to sharpen the sword and all that. But I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I want to try to do something that's like, oh, I haven't seen this done like that. So for me, it was just a little something to bring it all back to your original point there. How do you keep that passion, that creativity alive? You try to think of something a little different, even if it's not miraculously different. It was something that I could kind of lay my name on and be like, this is just a piece of what I've got in a time where it's kind of hard to have anything going.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what the cool thing is, man? Corona, even though it shut everything down, it started making a lot of people think different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's changing the business a little bit in ways that we didn't know it needed to be changed. Like,
true.
Maybe it shouldn't be always have to be. It don't always have to be a match and a promo and a this. Sometimes it can be those vignettes that they used to do back in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
it can be stuff for people at home or people, you know what I mean? Bringing it's a reality based business now. You know what I mean? Kayfabe is dead. You know what I mean? The WWE made sure of that crap when they put on Tough Enough. You know what I mean? They opened that Pandora's box. They opened that door.
Yeah.
So now instead of just having a regular show, match, promo, match, commercial, whatever, you know what I mean? Now we're going to be able to make it more of a variety show instead of just a straight pro wrestling show. And I think that's, to your point, you know what I mean? You got to start thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
When there's nothing else that you can do. What do they say? Necessity becomes, or what is it?
Is the mother of invention. Yeah.
Yeah. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
I was trying to throw some cuss words in there somewhere.
No, but it's completely true. You know, it's when you're backed into a corner that you have to think differently, and coronavirus is the ultimate guy that's backing you into a corner. So,
the ultimate heel.
Sure. Yeah, the ultimate heel. Mike, can you take us through? So, obviously, you said that you were very successful on the independents, and you had your first match in the first month, right? And I saw earlier on you were actually having some matches. You're working with Samoa Joe. Do you have any memories from that time period?
I do, bro.
Yeah.
I was working smaller shows. I had my first match was with my trainer.
Yeah.
You know, I was the samurai warrior. I came out with the big like ninja mask on, even though I had a huge like blonde beard hanging out, like no tan at all, brother. There wasn't nothing. So we go out there and I clothesline my trainer over the top rope first thing, and he busts himself wide open. Now this is like 2 minutes into the freaking match, you know, my first match ever, and I'm just like shit my pants, like freaking out. And after the match or whatever, everything ended up going good. After the match, he's like, "Hey, bro, I just got to let you know, I sold the school."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Shit." He was like, "Hey, I sold it to a guy down in Phoenix. His name's Navajo Kid. He's a good dude. Give him a call. You know, he'll be fair to you, and he's a good hand. He's a good wrestler, whatever." So it took a little while for him to get his school up and running, probably like 5 months or something like that. So after my first match, I didn't have another damn day in the ring for like 5 or 6 months. But Phoenix is only 4 hours for me each way. So I was like, shit, I might go 3 times a week now. Like, so I sit up there and I'm doing my little thing. And we used to run these reservation shows. Navajo Warrior versus the Outlaw Mike Knox. Cowboys versus Indian, baby. It's a tale as old as time. And we would run up and we would do like these 3-week tours where we would just loop it around and work every night. I come out as the big old heel with the cowboy hat, the chaps, you know what I mean? And then here he comes dancing out there, just chopped me about 150 times every match, which I'd only had a few matches. So I didn't care. You know, I don't care. Chop me 300 times if you want. There's people out there and they're hot. They want to kill me. Like, so we're doing all that kind of stuff. And I fell in to a guy named the Big Schwag. He's been on some TV stuff lately. He never wrestled. He's just a commentator dude out of LA. He got me in touch with Rick Bassman, which UPW was LA's little promotion. For a second, they were a WWE developmental, but only for a brief second. They were down in a damn ball of fire like that. If you're going to go down, brother, you go down hard. So that was when I started meeting. I met John Cena, Samoa Joe, Aguilera was back over there. You know what I mean? Like, so I had some friends, Frankie Kazarian and Daniels, like Tom Howard, Sylvester Turkey, like all these guys that were starting to blow up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Samoa Joe, he'd been over to Japan a couple of times. You know what I mean?
Right.
And once you've been over there once, that kind of changes your outlook on stuff. You get over there and get roughed up a little bit. And you're like, okay, you got to learn how to take care of yourself, or otherwise, ain't nobody over there going to do it. At least that's how it used to be. I've been back since, and it's been different. But so we got back, and me and Joe had a match, and you know, he boom, boom, ringing my bell a little bit. I was like, dang, pro punch, boom. Pro punch. I was like, man, he hits me again, man. This motherfucker hits me again. I'm gonna boot him. Wham! I freaking hit the ropes. I come off. I just drilled him as hard as I could right in the damn face. Broke his nose all up. And then after that, lock up, nice and easy. You know what I mean? But it was still hard and powerful. But that was my first eye opening to that strong style. You know what I mean? All that stuff. And I didn't know what to do. And nature kind of just took over. And we got into the back or whatever, and I'm sitting there, I was like, ah, shit, I hope I ain't gotta fight this guy. You know what I mean? I'm small, hard-ass heads. Like, I might not be able to get him. Like, so we get in the back, you know, and we were just laughing and smiling. It was like, because everything ended up going fine. You know what I mean? After that first little encounter. And I drew back on that experience more than anything, especially the first time I went over to Japan. Because I was still young. You know, I hadn't been developed. Like, I was trying to get bigger, but I wouldn't, you know, I was maybe 230 maybe, you know what I mean? So I was just slowly getting bigger over the time. And I went over there, and they tried to rough me up a little bit, and it didn't take. You know what I mean? I knew exactly what to do. Yeah. You know, so like I said, that me and Joe got to work a couple of times over there, and it was rough and it was hard hitting, but it was like, shit ain't ballet, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
That is true.
Exactly.
I was actually, if I could slide in for a second, John, I did want to ask you, because you know, in just kind of looking at some stuff that you've been up to in the last couple of years, I saw you were out in Japan for IGF a few years ago. How was that experience? Because I couldn't find a lot of information about the time there, or any footage really from when you were out there. So I was just curious as to how that went.
Brother, they were running something different that, you know, I hadn't really been a part of since like the time I was doing those Indian tours. It was like half shoot fight. Okay. So like there was some real shooters in the back, like real shooters, you know what I mean? Like guys that are like 24-3 and you know, from England against this guy from Korea who's 22-1, you know what I mean? So there's like real big hitters out there. Yeah. And then in between, they put on the show, like the wrestling match. You know what I mean? Like there'd be a couple guys get out there and knock the dog shit out of each other for real. Yeah. And then they put me out there against like Hashimoto's kid, you know, and we have a nice match where he can go fly around, you know what I mean? We can do our thing. Yeah. It wasn't so much like great wrestling, you know, it wasn't like great wrestling, you know what I mean? But there was always a packed house. Always. Yeah. Simon Inoki brought me back probably 5 or 6 times. You know what I mean? Like I'd run into like Tyrus. I run into Tyrus over there, or Jinder Mahal. You know what I mean? Or Nick Aldis. Or you know what I mean? Like we ended up always hooking up over there. Yeah. And you know, I think like I don't know if it was my last. You remember Barry from the Nexus? Big Jack dude. English guy.
Oh, Mason. Was it Mason Ryan?
Yes. Yeah, so we went over there, and it was after I think I just wrestled like Bob Sapp or something crazy like that, where I was like, awesome. I'm I think I'm in for a big fight tonight. Like, I was like, I said I want to do none of that shoot shit. Like, they're like, no, he'll work with you, you know, whatever. So we had a pretty funny little match, you know, and like, and then I got out there with Barry. He's like, bro, I'm gonna go all Japanese style, and I was like, sure. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, that German me on my head. I'm gonna get up and no sell it. He's like, then power bomb me, and I'm gonna no sell it. I'm like, you know, that's a boxing ring out there, right? That's like landing on steel out there. Oh. Like, I got it, man. I got it. So he goes and like, I give him this big old chuck back, you know, German or whatever, and boom, land him kind of high, and he gets up and he's coming through. And I go to swing, and he gives me one. I kind of fart on him. I'm trying to get up real high, man. I ain't trying to kill myself on this.
Yeah.
So I go boom. I go into the thing, and he goes up, and he's giving me the couple 10 punches or whatever, and I walk out with him. Bam! Power bomb, and I was like, I thought you were getting up. I can't, brother. let's go home. I was like, okay, man. So throw him out of the ring. We fight out the back. You know what I mean? It was fun. They took great care of us. Mm-hmm. You know, Simon couldn't have been nicer to me. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you go out there and you do your job, you know what I mean? Like, they're pretty straight up with you.
That's awesome.
They're gonna be like, hey, how do you feel about like fighting? You want to fight? You want to fight? We'll pay an extra X amount or whatever. And then, you know, that's never enough for me. I mean,
yeah.
If I'm gonna fight for real, brother, I don't want anybody seeing it.
Yeah.
What if I lose?
Yeah.
I'll get my ass.
Credibility on the line here.
Yeah, man. But it was awesome, man. And they treated you great. Put you up in the good hotel over there by the Tokyo Dome. A lot of times, like, you know, Drew, he was hot with the Bullet Club at that point. You know what I mean? So like, I'd run into my friends over there all the time. It was so fun, man. And there were short trips too. Like, sometimes if you're over there for 2-3 months at a time, away from your family and all your friends and all that kind of stuff, it can get to be a little, you know, depressing, especially when you know, those guys are trying to go so hard over there. And if you're big, they want to dump your ass. They want to powerbomb you. They want to show everybody how strong they are and like all that shit, not even realizing that, brother, if I don't want you to pick me up, you ain't picking me up.
Yeah.
I am a master of my own fatness, brother. I'm an athlete, I can get up. But if I don't want you to get me up, you ain't getting shit.
Nope.
You don't look as good as I want you to look.
Absolutely.
So yeah, bro, it was awesome over there, man. Every time I was over there, you know, maybe minus one time where I got in a little trouble or whatever, but other than that, it was awesome, man. Every time I couldn't wait to get a call from those guys.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's definitely a big one for me. I'd love to get over there at some point, and obviously it's much easier said than done, of course, as you can attest to.
Man, especially right now. Yeah, they like I said, I was just talking to Gallows the other night, and he's like, "Man, we're trying to get over there. They just won't. They won't let us. They won't lift the travel ban or whatever." So here's my thing, man. If you stick around, you're around for long enough. You got a little size. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Stick around, brother. You do shit right. You get over there. Somebody's gonna notice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Mike, I want to know now, what was it like getting that call to get signed by WWE after your time on the independent circuit?
I didn't believe him. I thought they were lying. Yeah, here's what I like. They'd seen me because I used to sneak backstage at WWE, which I don't know if you're even allowed to do anymore. But when I was living in Phoenix, they'd only come to the West Coast once or twice a year. You know what I mean? So they go to Phoenix, and like, if you ain't booked, how are you ever supposed to get a look? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not booked. I'll just go drive right into the back and park where the boys park and like walk up, and I'm just like, oh shoot, put myself on, like wait for somebody to get out to the ring. You know what I mean? I run out to the ring and like Bill DeMont's out there holding court and like doing little classes and stuff. And I always try to sneak in, and like I started getting like velocity matches. Like I did like a velocity match against like Shannon Moore. And then the next night I did like a Raw Dark against Maven. And then like then I drove up to, then the next day they were going up to like, where the hell was it? Like LA or Anaheim or something like that, which was a good 11-hour drive. And they'd show up and I'd be sitting in that motherfucking ring again. Drove all night to get there. You know what I mean? So I'd sit there. Boom, 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 do a Dark against Test. And then all of a sudden, the next one, they're in LA, and here I come. And they're trying not to let me in the building now because they're on my, they caught on to my little gimmick, you know? So I'll sit out there until somebody recognizes me and they let me come in. And then I started doing that. And John pulled me aside. And he's like, hey, brother, you're on our list. We got a list. We got about 10 or 15 guys. We're going to open this new school in Atlanta. It's going to be great. Like, it's going to rival OVW. Like, you're on the list. You're going to be the first one that we call or whatever. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm on the list. I'm about to be famous. Oh, I'm going to go back to the club. I'm going to tell all the bitches. So I on that list for 2 years, bro. 2 years I never got a call. And I just kept sneaking back. I just kept sneaking backstage. Like every time they were on the West Coast, and every time Johnny would see me, he's like, "You're on the list, brother." I was like, "Okay." So then I start talking to everybody else. I was like, "God damn, man, you heard about this list?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm on it." So I'm sitting there like everybody I talk to, they're like, "Ooh." They're like, "Oh, you bastard." So one day, finally, I get a call from like some number I don't understand, like whatever. I never answer the phone anyways, bro. I hate it. So I get it, and it was like Tommy Dreamer or something, and he was like, "Hey, man," and he was like all like deadpan how he is, like, and he's like, "I want to know if you want to work with WWE," and I thought it was like one of my friends, so I kind of cussed him out and like hung up or whatever. And then my tag partner called me like 20 minutes later. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "Go outside and look in your door." And like I went outside, I looked, and there was like the envelope, the FedEx envelope, the fabled contract.
That's
I
nuts.
was like, "Shit." And I opened it up, and it was a damn WWE contract, like $500 a week or whatever it was, some crappy, you know. And I was like, "Damn, that was real." I was like, "Shit, I think I might have just cussed out Tommy." He's like, "You better call his ass back now." So I ended up calling back. We had a good laugh about it, you know what I mean? But I didn't believe it. I thought I was getting the runaround. I thought guys were joking around with me.
Right.
So whenever I got the call, it was a little different for me. I thought somebody's playing a prank on me, and I ain't gonna be fooled.
So funny. That's hilarious. Wow. Zakk, I know that you've had a few tryouts, one with WWE, one with New Japan. Do you want to take us through that WWE tryout, how that was in your head? Because only 2 years into your career, right?
Yeah. So my crash course with WWE was that coming out of college, when my offensive line coach from school, he sent me an email that the other coaches at the University of Delaware and Division I schools across the country got, which was from WWE saying like, "Hey, we're looking for athletes who are looking to cross over into the world of sports entertainment and all that. So anybody, if you have anyone on your team currently that you think would be interested in this, like have them email us at such and such with their information, and we'll take a look at them." So I was like, he sent that along to me. I was like, because he knew this was something that I planned on doing now that I was done with ball, and he was like,
Cool.
"Check this out." So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." It was no brainer. So I shot them my information. I didn't hear much for a little bit, and that like I got again. I started training in January. He gave me the email in January. Around like April, I hear from them. They're like, "Hey, everything looks cool, sounds cool." They're like, uh, obviously we've got lots of people, so we'll stay in touch or whatever. I'm like, all right, that's how these things go. And again, I was in that honeymoon stage of just training. I'm like, I just learned how to do a body slam, so I'm like, I'm covered right now anyway. This is so cool, like whatever. Yeah, like, what I gotta, I'll get there, whatever. So time goes by, like August rolls around. I'm like, all right, I haven't heard anything, so I'll email them again. I'm like, "Hey, I'm still here, I'm still interested." And they're like, "Okay, cool. Maybe we can try to bring you in September." No, I don't hear anything. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's how these things go. So again, I am persistent if nothing else. So around December, I'm like, "Hey, so I'm still here, and still would love to come do something. So just let me know." And in January, they emailed me back like, "All right, cool, coming in March." So I was like, "Hell yeah, game on." So trained my ass off for 2 months, got in the best shape of my cardiovascularly the best shape of my life in preparation for it. Flew down on March 11th, 2020. And if that date sounds familiar, that's the day that the COVID bubble burst. And that's the day the NBA got shut down, March Madness got shut down. So we flew in, we did all our medicals and everything. And the next day we were sitting there getting ready to do our promos to start off the tryout. And all the execs walk in, all the coaches walk in. They're like, "Hey, thanks for coming. See ya. We got to send you home." So I was like, that is the definition of a buzzkill. So they flew us all home that day, and like, "We'd like to bring you back. We don't know when." At that time, we're like, "Well, this will probably be done like a month. So like maybe like in May,
That's
obviously."
the worst that could happen.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where I came home and I was emotionally I was just defeated because I was like, I trained my ass off for all this time to get sent home. So I was like, all right, but again, I'm not easily deterred, and so stayed at it, trained in my backyard with cinder blocks and my and like the gas tank for the grill, just used whatever I had as weights, did what I did. Stayed in shape. Eventually, like I said, the schools opened back up to training for the ring, and then gyms started opening back up. Still hadn't heard anything. And at that point, that was on August. They were filming everything at the PC for television and everything. So I was like, even if they were doing anything, there's nowhere for them to have a tryout. So I was like, I'll just continue to stay ready, and we'll see what happens. And I kept at it. Around October, I sent them another email. I was like, hey, I know it's been a little while. I know you guys said that you'd let us know what's up, but haven't heard anything. So I just want to let you know that when something does happen, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And at that point, I was kind of like, all right, I put my words out there. I'll just, if it ends up happening, it ends up happening. If it doesn't, then this is how life goes. Sometimes you gotta wait, whatever. And so, like 2 weeks later, I get an email from them, and they're like, hey, you want to come down in 2 weeks? I'm like, oh shit, yes, definitely. I was like, all right, so how do I get back in the best shape of my life in 2 weeks now? And I just killed myself for 2 weeks, did everything I possibly could, and went down there in November. Had a really good experience. I felt like I fared very well. Lots of the guys from the recent signee class in February were in my tryout. A couple of those dudes, Bronson Steiner and a couple of those other guys. And so, unfortunately, number wasn't called, but that's the way these things go. It's to your point, Mike. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And so, you gotta weather the storm. And I'm in this for the long haul. But with that said, finally getting down there was a tremendous experience, and the coaches and then the personnel they have running both NXT and the PC down there, it's a tremendous core of just wrestling minds that even if just for a few days, I felt fortunate to learn from. And when the opportunity does come knocking again, I'm looking forward to learning some more.
Oh yeah, that's overwhelming, man. Like I said, whenever I first saw that place, shit, I would have killed to train in a place like that.
Yeah.
I was in this hot ass dingy garage. Like you could only hit the ropes on two sides because there's holes everywhere. You can only jump off one rope. Like, man, no AC, no nothing. Just musty, stinky. Like no freaking crash pads. So if you're trying something, brother, you're going. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I remember we ended up bringing this we found this mattress on the side of the road one time. And I was like, shit, I need a little break, man. Like, I was dropping the big leg off the top, you know what I mean? For just like 10 years of my career, you know what I mean? So I'm like, well, I need to show these guys that we can do it, you know what I mean? But my back's starting to hurt. You know what I mean?
Can imagine.
Slide that in and see if I can try something else, you know what I mean? Like, I want to start learning how to do the like the springboards and like all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? I was like, if I fall, I might be seriously out of commission for a while, you know what I mean? So we brought in the hepatitis mattress and we just freaking sprayed it with Lysol every day. Oh my God, it was so gross.
Make it work.
Make it work, yeah. Absolutely. So Mike, overwhelming for sure. I'm sure for you when you got that call and you were backstage. We've heard how the environment was kind of back then. I'm curious if this timeline adds up because a lot of stories are coming out now of Wrestler's Court. Did you ever experience that backstage? Were you ever a part of that? Yeah, you did?
Yeah. No, not to me, but I was there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Matt Stryker, you know what I mean? Like there was a core group of dudes, you know what I mean? They were the bosses. They were kind of, I don't want to say mean or whatever, but like, they were the vets there at the time, like Bradshaw and Benoit and, like other guys, like, even like Fit and like a couple of, like, you're not going to come in there and disrespect the business. You know what I mean? Taker's in there, like Booker T's in there, you know what I mean? These guys that have been everywhere and done everything. If they feel like you don't have respect for the business or if you up big time, you ain't going to slide. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna slide. They can't let it happen. You know what I mean? And if there isn't anybody there to police the locker rooms, then who's gonna do it? If the boys can't do it, I mean the bosses can't do it, because then all of a sudden you hate every one of your bosses. You know what I mean? They can't have that stuff coming out. So I was always kind of taught the same thing. you police that locker room yourself. You know what I mean? If somebody's going into somebody's bag, you got a goddamn belt. What better well stop them? You know what I mean? If somebody's screwing off or not selling or not, you know what I mean, or not doing what they need to do during the show, if they go into business for themselves, or if they just disrespect the vets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You ain't gonna get away with that shit. You know, and especially back then. They couldn't wait for somebody to mess up, man. You know what I mean? Like I saw some of them, brother. I was scared for the guys. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to turn into like a 5-on-1 beating every once in a while. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
guess what? Everybody that came out of it either split or they came out better. You know what I mean? They know it ain't a joke. You know what I mean? It's wrestling. It's fake. It's blah blah blah. Whatever. Not to these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And they'll let you know. So yeah, we went through a few of those things, you know, but I mean, shit, if you ever had a football coach that screamed at you for screwing up, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not because they hate you. It's because they want you to do better. They see something in you, you know what I mean? You got to hold it up. You got to do it the way that they want it to be done. And if you don't, you're going to hear about it.
Yep.
You know,
it's accountability.
I went through a few of them, you know what I mean? And it wasn't ever that bad. You know, I mean, I heard a couple of my buddies got it pretty bad, especially their first trips over to Europe or whatever like that. Like my buddy Parma Cannon, whom I just adored, he was like the first one to make it out of Deep South, which is the fabled Atlanta territory. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was one of the first ones to make it out and make it up to TV. You know what I mean? And they really were merciless on him over there. And he was just like, dude, if this is what the business is, I don't want it. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm working my ass off. Like, I've been down here barfing every day with you guys. You know what I mean? Like, they're not even letting me get in the ring and wrestle, and they're already treating me like this. He's like, if this is what they want, they can keep it. You know what I mean? Which, that's his prerogative. You know what I mean? I myself, you know what I mean? You just kind of eat it. You try to be better. You know what I mean? Like, you show respect to the guys. They've been there a lot longer than you. And it wasn't a respect thing with him. It was just a bad night, and it went worse. And, you know, I wasn't there when it happened to him, so I can't say anything. But from what I heard, you know, it was just a bad night. Everybody was drinking a little bit, and they were kind of picking on him a little bit. And then it just got worse, and everybody piled on. And then it started getting physical, and it was like, shit, who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah.
Any of us could have left at that time. But also, I hear it ain't like that no more.
Yeah. I recently heard that too.
You know, at this time, it's probably better that it ain't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
true.
You know?
Very true. Well, Zakk, I want to hand it over to you now. After that, I want to hear how you crafted the Miasma. We heard about the Citadel. How'd you go about crafting your persona as the Miasma, Zakk Ramses?
So for me, the Miasma character, it kind of came to be more. It's not really. It wasn't so much a focused creation. More so, it's just kind of things just kind of fell into place because I knew what type of character I liked based upon my influences in wrestling. Being 6'8" and 260, 270 pounds. Like, you have a lot of similar influences, Mike. I'm sure you have many of the same ones where you watch the Stan Hansens, you watch the Brodies and the Dick Murdochs and like the big dudes that would club people around, beat them up, all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff I love. And even in a more recent sense, you have so many guys from the last 10, 15 years, Mike yourself included, who were big, agile guys who could move around, clobber people, and just envelop everything around them. And so, it's I knew that with that basic concept, with a couple different variations and personal touches, which from different outlets and whatnot. Myself being a big movie and music guy, taking different influences from different places like that, kind of crafting this idea. And so I knew what I wanted to be within wrestling, but it was the name and the moniker I struggled with for a little bit. And so the Miasma came to me through music specifically. My one of my favorite bands is a Swedish metal group called Ghost. They've become popular in the last 5-6 years in America, more so. And so they had their 2018 album Prequel. There's a song called Miasma on it, and I always loved the song. And in 2019 when I was kind of getting going to wrestling, trying to think of a name and whatnot, and the nickname specifically because I always liked that with wrestling. Whether it was the Hitman, the Nature Boy, the Macho Man, whatever. I like the moniker in addition to the name. I just think it adds a kind of panache to the persona. And so listening to music one day and the song Miasma comes on, which is just a 6 or 7 minute instrumental song, but it's heavy, hidden, just awesome track. And all of a sudden I was like, I actually don't know what this word means, but it sounds cool, and I like the song. So do a little research into it, and the whole album's a concept album about the Black Plague, and so within that, the miasma is pretty much it's an old Greek term that it's simply put it's a dark, overwhelming force that it just consumes and overtakes everything, and the more you fight against it, the worse it gets. And so the Black Plague was considered a miasma because obviously it destroyed all of Europe, and if you got it, even if you tried to take different remedies and this and that, it didn't matter, you were going to die. And so obviously the horrid nature of that, I'm like, that's perfect for me, great. So I thought it was a cool concept that for a big lumbering monster that's going to decimate whoever's across the ring from him, and if they try to fight back, you're only going to make the pain worse for yourself because I'm just going to come at you harder. I liked that idea. I thought that was a unique term that when most people hear it, they're like, what? They don't know that, and so it sticks with you, and it kind of even if you don't remember Zakk Ramses or if you don't remember my face, miasma usually it's a term that people can kind of at least latch onto, and so that kind of led to me just kind of diving headfirst into that, and it's kind of worked, and I've it's kind of come part of my character now at this point. So long-winded answer, but there you go.
Yeah, brother,
Yeah.
you dig it. Hold on to it, man.
Yeah, I definitely remembered it. Mike, for you, because you've gone through a lot of different versions of yourself. First, obviously, when you first came in, you came in as like the jealous boyfriend of Kelly, but then you came back as the monster, and then even something as different as the Menagerie, which we've never seen you dive into like that realm of your character before. Do you have any advice or maybe how you went about it, changing yourself so many times, different, reinventing?
Man. Well, like I said, man, if you have a good base character, then you can take it anywhere. You know what I mean? You can make it a what the fuck's going on over there?
I'm knocking all your gear over.
Well, get out of here, you nerd.
We're not getting the Aces and Eights return.
Bro, like I said, if you're good, they come up with stuff for you. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be Kelly's boyfriend. I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you got a brand new character with a beautiful woman. They ain't looking at your ass. You know what I mean? You will be forgotten. I was like, shit, that's death.
Yeah.
You work harder. You know what I mean? So you work harder. And then like they're like, dang man, well, we kind of have something for you, but we're not sure. Like, okay, go out on your own and see what you can do. You know what I mean? Just keep your keep your same shit and you go. And then all of a sudden, oh gee, man, well that's pretty cool, but we don't really have anything for that character. And then like, hey, we got an idea. Do you think you might want to try this? You might want to be able to incorporate this here and there. Can you maybe try this here and there? You know what I mean? So as long as you got that base cement floor of your skills and your talent and what you think your character should be or could be, you have to be open to changing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, even when I came back and we did that, we did the Aces and Eights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd been out of wrestling for 2 years, and I hadn't wrestled one match, nor had I practiced. Doc Gallows calls me up. He's like, "Hey, bro, you want to come to Guyana and do a match?" He's like, "You'll be wrestling me. It's easy. You know what I mean? Whatever." So we go and do one match, which I hadn't done a match in 2 years. I did one match in Guyana with him. I came back and he called me a week later. He's like, "Hey, I got to try the TNA. I can't make it, bro. I told him you'd go." And I'd be like, "Bitch." I was like, doing one match in front of 300 people is one thing. Being on television in the big show with the freaking cameras going, You know what I mean? That's another thing, dude. I was like, I ain't ready for that. And he's like, yeah, you are. So I went and did that, and then like they come back, they're like, hey man, we got this idea. We, you know, the Sons of Anarchy is real hot right now. You know, we're thinking about trying to put together a nice, like a little biker game. He's like, we're thinking about you and Drew and maybe, you know, maybe Briscoe and like this and that. I was like, shit, that might be fun. You know, and I wasn't in great shape either. Like I was like, shirts and vests. Awesome.
Cover it up.
Shirts and vests. Oh, okay. I think I can handle that. You know, and then, you know, that ran its course. Right. And they come back and they're like, hey man, we saw a little promo you did against Bully. How would you feel about being a babyface? I was like, I've been waiting to be a babyface this whole time. I can't wait. Everybody's gonna love me. And they're like, cool, man. We're gonna do this Duck Dynasty character, man. Grow your beard out. Well, you know, we got to give it some time for you to calm down. When you come back, you'll be all up in camo. You'll be this kind of hillbilly guy. You know, just kind of be yourself, do your thing, like be loud and boisterous and have fun, and you know, everybody will latch on. I'll be like, sweet, cool, man. So like 4 months goes down the road. I'm like, okay, buddy. Not getting, you know, I'm not allowed to get booked anywhere. Like, help me out, man. Like, what the hell's going on? So they finally, after a couple more months, they call me back and they're like, all right, we got a character for you. Christy Hemme's going to call you in a couple hours and let you know. And I was like, Christy Hemme? What the hell is she calling me for? Isn't she the announcer? You know, like whatever. Yeah. No disrespect, of course. No. Yeah. But then she calls me and she's like, have you ever watched Carnival? And I was like, do I look like a guy that watched Carnival? She's like, well, go watch it because we got this cool circus character for you. Why don't you watch that and see what you can do? So I was like, I rushed off. I was like, damn, I already had all my gear, like all my Duck Dynasty gear. Like I was ready to go, man. And I sat there and I watched like the 2 seasons and I'd call her right back. And I was like, what the character am I supposed to be? You know, where's there a wrestling character in there? Like, what do I need to do here? And they're just like, just kind of be like, and then like they gave me this horrible description of it, and it ended up like evolving from like me coming out in jeans and a black tank top to, you know, that full stupid suit thing and like the big set off and the cummerbund and the 10-gallon hat and all that stuff. Yeah. You know, they kept, you know, they put me with the boys and they're like, hey man, we're going to get you out there. We're going to pump, you know, because they're still doing live events at that time. They're like, we're going to have you out there in front of like before the shows, like before the darks, like get out there. We'll have your strong man bend in the bars and we'll have Crazy Steve doing face paint and like, you know, Rebel will be doing her fire dancing, which they never let her do one time, which I couldn't believe.
That's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, just like with the Aces and Eights, they never let us ride our own damn motorcycles. Because,
right, yeah.
Because of the insurance.
Because of the missed opportunities, absolutely. You know, it was just hanging out in the room playing cards, which was cool. But
just got done riding, don't worry. Yeah. You know, so anyways, long story short, man, I did really want to be a babyface. And, you know, it worked okay, like for a minute, but, you know, just like TNA does, you know, like they come in here with an idea and then next thing you know, it gets shortened down to half of that. And then before you know it, it's not his idea anymore. And this guy's out the door. So it's like, well, that wasn't my idea. Sorry, brother. You know,
yeah.
I talked myself into a little bit too much money. And now the next thing they're changing from one television company to another. And they're got to explain why they're paying me more than they're paying the rest of the 3 guys. You know what I mean? They're like, well, that's what they want to see. They want to see the clown and the big muscle guy. You know, like, well, what do we need this other guy for? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know, to work. You know what I mean? To work, brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like things happen. You know what I mean? And whatever characters you have, you know, God willing, they explode. You know what I mean? But 9 times out of 10. You're going to have to evolve from that to something else, something that you're not really going to like at the beginning. And you try to take that character and draw it into your original idea that you had, make them think it's their idea. You know what I mean? Like, oh, thanks. I would have never thought about it not for you. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, that's good, man. And, you know, like I said, with that basement floor, that all comes with that with the training and the being able to adapt. Because, like I said, man, when I went over to Japan, I had to adapt to that style of wrestling. I went down to Mexico for a few months. You know what I mean? You have to adapt. That's 100% different kind of wrestling.
Right.
I got to go over to Europe for a few months, brother, and that's a completely different style of wrestling. And you learn and you adapt. You know what I mean? You go down to Puerto Rico for a few months, and it's like, I know it sounds easy, but it wasn't easy to get to all these places.
No, I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I was just trying to go anywhere I could to develop any skills, babyface, heel, good guy, bad, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? High flyer if I have to, like ground and pound if I have to. You know what I mean? Being able to be a good base if I need to be. Being able to help people out so they don't freaking kill themselves on some of these dumb moves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, you do the stuff that people don't see. You know what I mean? But if you have all those skills in your basement, then you can go down and get them at any time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, is my wrestling career over? I don't think it is. You know what I mean? But who the hell knows what I'm gonna come back as? Who knows? Who knows, man? Who the hell knows? Exactly. You know, I have ideas, of course, but that don't mean that they're gonna have ideas. They may have completely different ideas. You know, I might be coming back as a Menagerie guy for all I goddamn know. You know what I mean?
Or aces and eights, right? I mean, that's always,
Oh, brother, that was the funnest time ever, man.
Yeah, I believe it. Sounds like it.
Oh,
that's so cool to hear. One more career specific for you, Mike, before we wind it down. Your time in WWE, maybe the biggest moment on paper was when you were put into the World Heavyweight Championship chamber in 2009. Quick side note, I actually had to search for that elsewhere because Peacock doesn't even go back to 2009, which I couldn't believe. I was trying to watch it the other day before this. But
oh my God, you haven't seen it? I
won! No, I saw it way back when I watched, but I did watch it again. And I'm just curious how that came about because some of the guys in that match, it just seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like a great opportunity. It definitely did in your career. So I'm curious to see how it came about.
Well, I can't be bitter about it. Because how many people get to wrestle in the Elimination Chamber, bro?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just like same thing with like Survivor Series when I got beat so fast. Like, who the they did that? You know. So, anyways, I knew Cena real good. I know Kane real good. Like I was friends with Jericho. Like everybody in that match, I had just done like an 8-month run with Ray. You know what I mean? So we knew what we could do. I hadn't been in there against Edge before, and so we're starting to go over the thing, which I wasn't even supposed to be in that match. If you remember, they threw me in like the week before because I don't know if somebody got hurt or if somebody was just like, hey, throw the kid a bone or what. But we were doing a house show in Canada somewhere. And they were like, hey, bro, you're going to go over on this battle royal tonight. And I was like, okay, cool, man. And it was like a weird, like 12 person or 11, whoever they could muster in. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to go over that thing and you're going to go to the Elimination Chamber and it's going to qualify you for that. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. I ain't won a match in 8 months. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to put me in the damn main event. Like, you know, so again, I think they're messing with me, which they may have been, they may not have been. But we get in there, you know, when we start talking over with all these guys. And I'm like, okay. I was like, they're like, hey, we're going to let you go get out of there second or third or whatever. And he's like, we're going to let you stay in there for a while so you can show people what you got. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, I had all these ideas. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to do all this stuff. They had never let a big guy do it before. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shit. And then, you know, Michael Hayes comes out. You know, he's always the bearer of bad news. And he's like, hey, man, you're going to have about 3 minutes. You know, you're going to have 3 or 4 minutes. And, like, everybody there was kind of like, what the you know what I mean? Like, even Edge, the guy who I'd never been in the ring with before, was disappointed as hell. You know, Cena, like, we had the finish where I was getting eliminated, like, out, taking the FU off the gimmick, like, into the girders, and, like, all this really cool, like, a cool
awesome death. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a cool death. And then, you know, they ended up shortening it down. They're like, listen, man, we got to make sure this guy gets over and this guy. And I was like, God damn, they're already over, bro. I was like, hook a brother up. You know what I mean? Like, you guys got me all fired up for this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let me run at least for a little bit, man. Like, let me run for 10 minutes.
Right.
Kill me. You know, let me run for 10 minutes. And then, like, I'll put guys over. I don't care. Like, let me base these guys off the top of the cage. Like, let's do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not the man with the pencil. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
you do your job, you be a good soldier, you know what I mean? Like, especially at that time for me, you know, I was like, you know, I wasn't making too much money. I was just kind of floundering along in one like little spot, you know, and they gave me this shot to get up, you know, and you can be bitter about not being able to do more. But in that time, in that 4 minutes or whatever they gave me, 4 or 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about it at the time. And like since then, I didn't really think about it too much. And there was a clip that actually came up like on YouTube or something of that match. And even though I was only in there for a little bit, I whooped some ass.
Yeah.
You could tell.
That's awesome.
You could tell I was mad, man. But you know, it's such as life. You know what I mean? It's a show.
Yeah.
It ain't personal. It's a show. You got to do what's best for that. You got to do what's best for the entertainment value. And if you know, who knows, man? If I'd have been in that match for 20 minutes and got down to the end of it, where it was like, you know, me and Cena and Jericho, or me and whoever was there, Edge, you know, maybe the crowd would have been shitting on me by then. You know, you never know. I don't think they would have, but you never know.
When you think of what we've seen in some chambers, like I know at the time you weren't a face, but you know, Santino and they always seem to leave that underdog till the end. And at that time with the people in there, I would have considered you the underdog. So yeah, you really never know, but I don't think they would have either. I think it would have made for a cool thing. I do. That's still very cool opportunity. Definitely.
Yeah, it was very cool. One of my highlights for sure, man. Not many people could stand in that box. No. You know, with the lights going off and like all that, you know.
How was that being in that box? I feel like I've never had someone on from. I definitely haven't had anyone on from a chamber. Is that it's a unique experience? I'm sure, right?
That's bad. It's so surreal. You know what I mean? Like you just look at it, like I don't know, bro. I never experienced nothing like it before, and I sure ain't since either, man. No matter how hard like the people try to recreate it, like on like indie shows or TNA or whatever.
Right.
It just ain't the same, bro. You know.
Definitely not.
Yeah, claustrophobic at all in the pod there, or it looks tight, especially as a big guy. I imagine
you got about, I don't know, maybe like 4 feet, 4 feet or something like that.
Not too bad.
I was like, man, I was chomping at the bit so hard to get out of there. I was headbutting the damn thing. I was like, oh man, I better not do it too hard. This fall off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Plexiglass, you can't break.
Yeah, I don't know. So we're supposed to do a spot, like the head is supposed to spear somebody through it or something. I'm over there smashing it and it just falls off. Yeah, definitely one of the coolest moments of my career, for sure.
It's awesome. So Zakk, I'll hand it over to you for the last question for you. What can we expect for the future of Zakk Ramses? Do you have any goals, long-term, short-term goals?
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the long-term goal is the same as anybody who is in this business for any longevity. The goal is to not only make a living in the world of professional wrestling, but to be someone, and to be someone that young people can look up to and be excited to see on their television, and your peers can look at it and respect and have some appreciation for as a worker and as a talent. Obviously, that's vague and broad, but more specifically than that, I mean, of course, short term. This year, now as things are starting to open back up a little more and the independent scene's becoming a little more savvy again, my goal is to be consistently booked wherever I can up and down the East Coast here. Right now, last week I was in West Virginia. Next week I'll be in North Carolina. A week after that I'll be in South Jersey. I got some deals in Maine and Delaware. Like, at this point I am all about getting experience, learning, making connections. That's all I want. And so for this year, if there's an opportunity and you are looking for someone like Zakk Ramses, 6'8", 275 pounds, handsome looking dude. If you're looking for any of that, I'd like to think I bring something to the table. So short term, I've got some manageable goals. I think long term, a little more lofty, but I think again, to Mike's point, if you press on and you stay committed and you know what you want, you can, more often than not, you can find a way to make something work. And so I'm gung ho to figure that one out.
Yeah. You want it bad enough, brother, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mike, how about yourself? You kind of brushed on your future a little bit. You have some ideas. Is there anything that we could expect? Anything concrete right now, or just
Oh, bro,
keep our eyes open?
nothing concrete. I just tore my. I ended up tearing my
Oh,
bicep. I tore my bicep about 3 months ago. So I got 3 more months until the doctor's going to clear me to do anything.
okay.
So it's going to at least be 3 months. Till then, I'm your real estate heavyweight, baby. We're selling houses. Y'all coming down to Tampa? You gonna want a big man on your back. Damn it, you want it, man.
Absolutely.
You know, but hey, man, you know, people always talk. They're like, "How'd you feel about coming down and coaching here?" Well, I don't know, man. Like I said, my body's been through a lot. I've had a lot of injuries. I've had a lot of time. You know what I mean, to rethink my style. You know what I mean? I always got in a lot of trouble because I bumped too much, especially as a younger guy, like in ECW, and like even in the beginning of like WWE when I was with Raw and all that stuff. Like they'd always yell at me for bumping too much. Don't bump too much. Don't bump too much.
Wow.
And that's when I started learning the art of selling without falling. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference, especially Zakk. There ain't too many brothers out there anymore that are big dudes that can move, that can make it realistic. You know what I mean? And all I can say is if I do get my shot, I am not going to waste it. I love having a good time. I love to laugh. I love being around the boys. That team mentality. You know what I mean? I never much cared for the office, especially when I was there.
Yeah.
But now that I've been gone and I've seen the other side of it, I see what they're doing, man. It's not personal. You know what I mean? Like, so now I'm starting to understand that side more. Make it a little bit easier. Hang around Bully Ray and like these guys that are like master politickers. You know what I mean? Like, you know when to turn it on, you know when to turn it off. Wrestling is in my future. I'm not sure where yet. You know what I mean? I even did a few little things, just like Aces and Eights reunions, even with my injury. So that's when you figure out you can go out there for 15 minutes and you can go lefty and you can sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can sell enough to where people don't see, you know, what you don't want them to see, basically. So, you know, even just doing little stuff like that, it's definitely telling me that my wrestling career ain't over. By a long shot, I hope. So hopefully we'll run into each other here pretty damn soon there, brother.
That would be fantastic. I look forward to it for sure.
Hell yeah.
You've both been amazing. Mike, any last words of wisdom or advice? Parting words for Zakk?
Ooh, brother. My biggest regret, man, is once I got up there and started getting discouraged, it was after that Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? Where I thought, not that it was owed to me, but I thought I was going to get something, you know what I mean? And then I didn't. You get a little depressed, you know what I mean? You let your body go a little bit, like take care of that body.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's going to take care of you. You know what I mean? I stopped doing my freaking 500 squats a day. You know, I stopped running, you know, my miles. I just went to work and I came back. You know what I mean? Like I didn't work out as hard. I didn't lift as hard. If you like look at the pictures from that, even from the Elimination Chamber to when I finally got released, you know, I'd probably put on 40 pounds. You know what I mean? And I was not tanning, so it wasn't good looking 40, you know, but I got away with it because I could work, you know what I mean? And I was rough and I could, you know, I knew what I had. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to switch it to this kind of style, you know what I mean? Or I'm just going to do that. Don't turn your back on your body, man. Even if you ain't wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just don't turn your back on your body because once you get a little bit older, I'm 42 now. Which I know you can barely tell, you know what I mean? But, you know, I started wrestling when I was 18. So that's 24 years? 24 years?
Yeah.
And at the end, if I would have just taken care of myself a little bit better, you know what I mean? We could be having a whole different conversation here. You know, so now 42, now you're trying to get your bones moving again. You know what I mean? And it's a little bit tougher than when you were 28. So, you know, my biggest thing is just take care of your body. You know what I mean? You don't have to freaking work out like Mr. Olympia. Make sure your stuff moves right. Make sure your knees work right. Make sure your back works right. Make sure your damn head works right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where it's all at, man.
Gotcha. Noted. Thank you.
You got it.
Well, thank you both for coming on. This was awesome. Seriously, what an interview. Thank you.
And thank you, Jonah, for having us. Obviously, very much appreciated.
Yeah,
thank you.
Of course. What's going on, everybody? Jonah from Rewind, Recap, Relive. You just watched a bunch of me, which whatever video this is on, you've definitely at least watched a few minutes. So, I'm going to tell you right now, you know what I'm about to say, and you know that you have to do it. Head over to wrestlingpins.bigcartel.com right now. You're going to not regret it. You're going to pick up some pins. Whatever pins I got over there right now, they're the best in the business. Best merchandise out there. Go pick up some pins. Use the code RRR150FF. Get 15% off your order, and I'll see you soon.
Message Daddy, Boogie Woogie Man feel good. I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss online, rewind, recap, relive.